focus on building concepts from NCERT, revising concepts from NCERT, and focus on applying them from your current affairs. So now is the time to choose. Now is not the time to focus on everything. It's not possible. Time to choose, focus on things that UPSC has focused on in past. By this time, I would like to assume that my students have become mature enough to choose which opinion, which editorial, which news item is what they think will add value to what they know. Don't be overwhelmed by the things that have to be done. Plan for things that you can do in next 30 days.
Hello aspirants, welcome to VisionIAS Prelims Special Discussion Series. With less than 30 days left for prelims, a lot of you may be having anxieties and questions. To discuss all these aspects, we have with us Aditya sir. Welcome to the discussion, sir.
Thank you so much.
Sir, with less than 30 days left for prelims, a lot of students must be coming to you for advice regarding their challenges. So what are the key challenges that students face and what should be their way to address these challenges?
In last few days, I have received queries from many students and they are obviously varied. But one thing is common amongst them. Students are anxious. They feel stressed sometimes. And the reason for this stress and anxiety is that they see lot to be covered in these 30 days and the time is less. So I think that is causing an anxiety amongst them. So last 30 days, I think the biggest challenge is to decide where you have to focus these 30 days. You see that you have to read all the things, all the subjects, all the topics, but you are unable to decide what is important, what is not, what has greater probability, what should you revise, should you attempt a test or not. So now the challenge is more about managing your time, managing your subject, managing your preparation. That is the biggest challenge that I see.
Sir, what's your take on that? Like, what's your key advice on all these aspects?
The advice is to manage. Advice is, as I've said earlier also, not to panic. Identify the challenge. Identify what can be done to address the challenge. Looking only at the challenge is not going to solve by itself. You have to climb a rock, you have to climb a mountain. You can't climb it simply by looking at it. You have to think in your mind what can be done to climb it. Once you start doing that thinking, then your path becomes clear. You must know what you have to do. Every student has a unique set of challenges. They must try to find the solutions themselves. The most common challenge, as I said, was assessing what has to be done, what can be done. You have so much to cover in so less time, what can you do? Pause and see that what subjects can you cover, what topics can you cover. Simply have a plan for next 30 days. Only having a plan will take away all that anxiety. You decide, we have a problem of limited resource and unlimited wants, so as to say. So you have to decide that what has to be done, what is the priority. Decide what is on priority, you will get through that challenge.
Sir, effective utilization of resources play a crucial role in this exam. In that context, sir, what is your advice on how to effectively utilize the resources in the next 30 days?
Let's try to address this thing. One, assess what resources you have. Second, assess what can you do, what you have to do. For example, students will look at that, okay, I have these NCERTs to cover. I have the material from books, or let's say my coaching material, VisionIAS material that I have to cover. I have to cover current affairs from, let's say, PT 365 or monthly current affairs or newspapers. I have to give tests. So first, assess the resources. Now you see how much constrained resource you have, which is time, 30 days. See what you have to do. For example, in next 30 days, you can choose to focus on the basic resource, which is NCERT, and your current affairs resource, which is your, let's say, PT 365. You have to choose. Understand that you can't cover everything. You have your books 10 font के size में A4 paper के ऊपर लिखा हुआ है, आप पूरी किताब नहीं पढ़ सकते हो. You have to choose what you can do, what is essential, what is necessary. Focus on building concepts from NCERT, revising concepts from NCERT, and focus on applying them from your current affairs. Now that you have done this exercise, you know what I have to do in next 30 days. apply those concepts that you have read, apply the thing that you have read from newspapers by giving tests, account for giving tests every day. So this is how you step by step solve the challenge. Assess resources, limited resources, lay down a strategy yourself. Trust me, you will see your anxiety and stress going away. Otherwise, you will always be anxious about itna karna hai aur itna time nahi hai.
Sir, a lot of students have doubts related to what should they be focusing upon. Should they be focusing on their core subjects or on miscellaneous subjects, or should they focus on their weak areas, or should they consolidate their strong areas? So what's your take on this?
One, frankly, no take on this. Second, students have these issues. This is a very specific challenge to each student. I can't give a generalized answer to this. What is your strong area? As in, should you focus on strong versus weak, versus identify what is your strong and what is weak? Let's look at, let's say, economics. You look at previous year questions trends. You see that we have questions on monetary policy, external sector, fiscal policy, national income accounting. These are the topics that should be strong because most questions are from these topics. So these are your priority areas. Look at polity questions. You have questions from fundamental rights, DPSPs, emergency provisions, president powers or president role. Look at these topics. Look at what topics have been asked in previous years. They should be your strong area. Identify what should be strong so that you now focus on revising those areas. Not what is strong, what is weak. I am not so strong, let's say, a student says, I am not so strong in poverty and unemployment topic. I do understand that, okay, I get that thing. But are there questions from this topic in previous years? There are more questions from other topics. So now is the time to choose. Now is not the time to focus on everything. It's not possible. Time to choose, focus on things that UPSC has focused on in past. At least that is the logical, rational way that we can, path that we can tread on.
Wonderfully put, sir. Sir, with regard to current affairs, a lot of students have this doubt that should they continue reading the newspaper in the next 30 days?
Again, this is also a very, students have this question, but it is kind of vaguely framed by students that should I read newspapers or not? Sir, किस दिन तक अखबार पढ़ें, कब पढ़ना छोड़ दें? There is no, this is a wrong strategy to address this question. One, you should be reading newspaper till your exam day. You should not leave it as in 1 month is there, question would not have been asked. What if there is some concept in the newspaper that may have been framed? Understand news is continuous thing. It's not something that has happened only yesterday. Something that has been happening since last 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. There will be some event that will be reported today on that. So your newspaper is an excellent source of revision of current affairs, of your conceptual things as well. So don't say that I have to stop reading newspaper. Focus on what do you have to read from newspaper. There are many topics as in news, continuous things. By this time, I would like to assume that my students have become mature enough to choose which opinion, which editorial, which news item is what they think will add value to what they know. Rather than going for something that is not going to add value, as in from exam point of view, I'm saying, not going to add value, you should be mature enough to identify that thing. Identify that thing, read newspaper. One rule of thumb that they can apply to solve this dilemma that they have is, do not spend more than 40 minutes on newspaper every day, but spend 40 minutes. 40 minutes, that's fine. You would be choosing that what has to be done.
So with regard to test taking, again there's a huge confusion related to how many tests one should give, especially in the last 30 days. So what's your take on that, sir?
How many tests should one give? Again, specific to each student. But at the same time, what I generally advise is, now I'm not an oracle and my advice might not be the only correct advice, there would be other correct advices as well. But so as to say, my advice generally is that in last 1 month, one must focus primarily on tests. At least give one test every day. And when I say give one test, I don't mean to say that attempt a test, I mean 5 hours of giving a test. Around 1.5 hours to attempt it, around 3.5 hours to revise it. You have detailed solution. Do not think that some question that you have got right, that question doesn't have to be revised. Chances are, जो आपका सवाल सही हुआ है, वो भी by luck सही हुआ है. Chances are. So make sure that you revise each and every question properly. Give one test. That is what my general advice is. You should be giving one test each day for 5 hours. And then remaining part, you choose what subjects, how do you want to revise them from NCERT, from current affairs, but one test every day.
What about the previous year questions? Should one focus on that as well in the last 30 days?
See, previous year questions, important as they are. One, you will find them as part of the question, the test that you attempt, the test that I was just talking about, you will find them as part of tests. Second, students can use our Sandhan initiative to find out questions on a particular topic from previous year only. So they can use that thing. So one example would be that you attempt one test per day, 5 hours, and then you can choose a particular topic using Sandhan, and then from that topic use previous year questions. I think that is a reasonable strategy.
And sir, with regard to CSAT, it is becoming very difficult these days, and it's getting very challenging even for students who are from science and engineering background. So sir, what's your advice for the students in the next 30 days regarding CSAT?
I think it's a tragedy that students come and say that CSAT has become difficult. And a greater tragedy is that many students, deserving as they are, they fail to qualify the exam because they could not qualify CSAT. Now, it's not because CSAT has become difficult. I think it is more because we think that CSAT is easy. We ignore CSAT for most of our preparation. Thankfully, by making CSAT difficult, UPSC is returning the focus students upon CSAT. Two things must be kept in mind for CSAT. One, it is not the paper whose marks are going to get added to decide the cutoff. You have to get only that above cutoff marks, 1/3 marks you have to get. Your focus should not be to attempt all 80 questions and get them right. This is where most students get it wrong. They think that the exam is easy. मैं इंजीनियर हूँ, मेरे से कैसे सवाल सॉल्व नहीं हुआ मैथ्स का, या फिर मैं आर्ट्स बैकग्राउंड का हूँ, मेरे से कैसे रीडिंग कॉम्प्रिहेंशन का क्वेश्चन सॉल्व नहीं हुआ. They take it on heart. What is the full form? Civil Services Aptitude Test. What is aptitude? Aptitude is your knack of solving problems. As a civil servant, you will be in a situation where you will have limited resources and you have to distribute them in some fair and just manner. You have a limited resource here, time, 2 hours. You have 80 questions to attempt. Please recognize, you don't have, nobody is going to come and give you a prize when you get all 80 questions correct. You have to have a focus on getting those 27 questions right first. Spend only some time on a particular question, please move ahead. Moving on is most important, is the key to attempting, is key to qualify CSAT. You see a questions, you are able to get the answer, good for you, move ahead. You see a questions, don't get it, please move ahead. Trust me, it is very easy to attempt 35 to 40 questions. There will be, paper is difficult doesn't mean that all questions are difficult. There are some difficult questions. You have to have that art of, that aptitude of not attempting those difficult, identifying them and then moving on from those difficult questions. You do that, you're way in. First. Second, please incorporate CSAT as your practice test. Give one test per week. That should be, it differs from student to student, but still give one test per week. For example, you will have developed that practice, you would be in that practicing space so that you will be able to attempt the questions in your exam as well. So don't ignore it, practice. And second, don't take the question to the heart. That is my advice for CSAT.
Right, sir. So moving on to subject specific aspects. So economics again remains a very challenging subject for the students, especially because the questions come from interlinkages and they are highly conceptual in nature. So in that context, sir, what's your advice to the students related to economics in the next 30 days?
In last 30 days, I would say, please look at previous year questions as you asked earlier. Please look at previous year questions. Please see the nature of question. Most questions I would say would be of this nature, that the option would be some conceptual, some current affairs. Conceptual regarding, let's say, what is tax to GDP ratio. Current affairs regarding what has been the trend of tax to GDP ratio. Your preparation must address both these things. So one, read NCERTs, the only basic source that we have and an excellent source. And second, read current affairs, PT 335. My advice for my subject is make sure that you are reading NCERTs, make sure that you are read PT 65. When I say read, I don't mean to say remember. Just read it. If you try to remember it, you will never be able to finish it. Then you will be stuck in just one subject's preparation. Just read it so that you have that some pictorial memory and you are able to attempt questions in the exam. That is what my advice is.
Sir, again, stress and anxiety plays a huge role in this exam. So what's your advice to the student to manage their stress and anxiety and especially their mental health during this next 30 days?
Crucial, extremely crucial. This is the time when many students fumble. And they fumble because one, they see that there is a lot that has to be done. They may not have gotten advice at the right time. So thanks to VisionIAS, this great initiative which is going to help students a lot. I'm sure that many teachers would come here and they would advise these advice of experts, those who have been there. Students' anxiety is going to come down drastically because of that, and I think the advice is in these last 30 days to manage stress and anxiety is plan. Don't be overwhelmed by the things that have to be done. Plan for things that you can do in next 30 days. If you plan, trust me, you will be able to manage stress and anxiety. Planning is the most important part. You don't plan, you will always be stressed. So please, in last 30 days, pause for a moment, spend 3-4 hours today when you watch this video, spend 3-4 hours today, and then see what has to be done, what you can do in next 30 days. Prepare a plan for next 1 week, next 1 week, next 1 week, and then by doing that, you shall be able to overcome all that stress part. That is my advice to you, my dear students.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable advice. Dear students, we hope that this session was useful to you. On that note, we wish you all the best for the upcoming prelims exam.